First of all, Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about your wonderful work on figures. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to leave a link to your YouTube channel because I really want people to see the work that you're doing with military figures. And I'm sorry, but they look so good. Oh my gosh. And as somebody who is, tries to paint figures well, you are really doing a great job in 1/72 and 1/30. Those are 1/32 scale figures, right? The World War I figures that you're
The
doing?
World War ones that I've been doing lately are 1/32. I started with 1/48. I do 1/72. They're tougher, not really because they're so darn tiny. That's actually in some cases an advantage, but because it's hard to find well sculpted figures that small. Most of the craftsmen and aftermarket specialists really focus on the 1/32 and to a lesser extent the 1/48, but they don't go down, even though in theory, it can all be on a CAD program or whatever and printed up. You don't find many in 1/72. They're actually quite easy to paint because, my God, the head is, oh God, it's less than a millimeter high, a 1/72 head. I'm trying to think here. A 1/32 head face would be maybe 3, 4. The side, they're about 54. A 1/32 pilot standing up upright, or to put it in slot car terms, a 1/32 driver standing up, not Dan Gurney, he was taller, but an average height guy, would be about 54 to 56 millimeters top to bottom.
Yeah.
So, and I did have this down. A 1/48 would be in the about 30 millimeters top to bottom.
Right.
And 1/72 is only about 10. They're really tiny. So, yeah.
Wow. Well,
But I cut my teeth painting race car drivers for my slot cars.
right.
Although I was building military models, aircraft, mostly aircraft. In those days, it was slap on a daub of paint and it goes in the cockpit and you really can't, fortunately, see too much of him anyway, because he's sort of smeared with a daub of brown enamel. And I sure as heck, when I was a kid, didn't have any flesh colored paint for faces, and maybe a splotch of silver across the eyes. But, jump ahead 5 decades and, I've been scratch building slot cars for a while. And as you know, or as I probably droned on about a lot, based on some of this stuff, my mentors taught me, you want to win the concours, do a killer driver. They might overlook the fact that your suspension's a little off kilter, because boy, if they can see the baby blues on or a little glint of light from Jim Clark's dark eyes, you win the concours. So start with that, and then there's such an affinity. The 60s drivers, even though they had now had the hard helmets, I think it's very akin in a lot of ways to the pilots. And for whatever reason, when I went back, it was sentimental reasons. There was this nostalgia pull, which was when after watching Max's models for a couple of months, I said, by God, I'm going to build some airplanes. And then I said, World War I airplanes are a little underrepresented in the scheme of things. People just love World War II planes for good reason, really popular. And second of all, I had this thing where I had built these Aurora World War I airplanes. But then when I got, so I started buying the planes, on eBay, the old kits. And I said, okay, this time, now I'm going to paint those pilots. And more often than not, though, I trash. The Aurora pilot, the only was the legs,
All right.
legs cut off at the waist and then married to an aftermarket resin pilot that was a much higher quality sculpt. And then so you do the Dr. Frankenstein thing and mesh them together and then start painting. And then I never really thought that I'd be doing 1/32, because although that's my preferred scale for slot cars, it was, well, 1/32 planes are awfully darn big and nobody makes them anyway. Well, little did I know, yeah, they do make them. And there's a whole line of amazing World War I planes that were made for over a decade by Sir Peter Jackson's company, Wingnut Wings, out of New Zealand. Unfortunately, John, I only discovered this company about 2 months before Sir Peter closed the company down, which meant that the price of Wingnut Wings kits went from, the $60, $70, $80 range to about 2 to 3 to 4 times as much in the, so it becomes a bit pricey, but you can buy the aftermarket pilots for a lot less. So, well, you know what? I got to up my game and start, see if I can translate what I was doing with slot cars onto aftermarket World War I. So I've been doing this for what, maybe the last 3 months, pretty much doing that, plus building a very odd 1/72 scale airplanes, 1/32 scale figures, because I don't have room at the place we're now in Portland to dare to build the 1/32 scale planes.
Well, I have to tell you though, you sent me a photograph of your 1/32 scale figure.
Yeah.
The 1/72 scale airplane with forced perspective, and it's brilliant. It's wonderful.
Yeah, let me see if I can.
Oh, I can put that up.
I can. Okay, can you put it up faster than you can?
Well, no, I can put it up post. It's no problem whatsoever.
Okay, you put it up because, well, I can put it up now because I just pulled it open.
Okay, go for it. Yeah, please.
Well, yeah, I've got but I lost you. So let's see, where are you?
That's okay. Don't worry about me. Your figures are more important.
Yeah, but I got to find the button that says share screen. Where'd that go? Where is share screen?
It should be at the bottom.
I can hear you. There you are. That must be you.
That's
okay.
Me.
Share screen. Okay. And share. There.
That's it. Oh my God. Look at that. Wow.
Yeah. Being the guy who didn't take a science course after the age of 20, I didn't, I probably had heard the concept of forced perspective 40 years ago, but I wasn't really reminded of it. Again, Max mentioned how he would set up with his dioramas and some of his, he would do forced perspective using a different scale figure with a different scale vehicle, whether it was a truck or a tank or a plane. And I said, well, I've got an SE5A in 1/48. That's back in Helena. I built this 1/72 scale SE5A here. It's tiny. And I got a 1/32 scale Billy Bishop. And that was the plane Billy flew for the last, I think, 6-7 months of his combat career in World War I. He flew a Newport before that. Right. So I think I can make that work. And the eye, if you don't get really technical and notice, my God, his shadow's extending away too far, but yeah, I think it works.
Oh yeah, no, it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. And that's the kind of forced perspective that can be used when you're doing scenery on a slot car track as well.
Sure. Yeah. And then that's really cool because then your eye is tricking you with, it's not just a photograph, it's actually tricking you with actual presentation of stuff that you're seeing with your eye. Because I have to admit, I looked at it and I go, okay. Then I snapped the picture and I said, yeah, that works. That works. So,
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. It's
So-
it's so good. Oh
now,
my
so,
God.
so we're here.
Wow.
There we go.
Look at that. I mean, his face is brilliant, but what you did with the coat is so magnificent.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I'm learning. I've learned how to paint brown leather, but I've got to figure out black leather. And so you go to YouTube, of course, and look at hints. And the first 3 I watched, they all recommended a brand of paint that I don't have. Well, I know about it, Citadel. But, it's like, John, I've already got like 150 bottles of paint, like I've got to go buy a different brand to do black leather. Maybe I've got to find a different video that does it with the paint I've got, so there we go. So.
Oh, wait, look at his legs. That's wonderful.
Yeah, I probably should figure out how to, but there we go. You get
How
the
did you, okay, I'm sorry, but how did you do the shading on his legs? My goodness. You've got at least 5 colors there, right?
1, 2. Yeah, there are actually 5 colors there.
Yeah.
6 counting the buckles on the straps.
Okay, sorry. You're right. I didn't see the silver. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, there's 6. There are 6 colors. Boot and boot. Oh, 7. There's black. This black.
Okay. Oh my goodness.
Black. There's a buff. There is an undershade of gray. It's zenithal primed with white. And then this is mud brown. And then there's a shading on it. So yeah. And again, we live in a good age where there are all these people who just love to talk about paint theory and, do stuff that I watch people paint these folks figures like this they actually record themselves doing it. I've got enough challenge, John, just doing it without any sort of camera intruding. So I just do it and slog through it and then
I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to issue you a challenge. If you can do that with a 1/32 scale Graham Hill figure standing beside his BRM, oh my goodness, it would look unbelievable.
Yeah, I could do that. So I've got Graham Hill here. Here we go.
Yeah, and he's in the car there. I mean,
yeah, we better
look at the work you did with his face. I can't imagine with what you've just shown with him standing beside that car. Oh my gosh, it would be stupendous.
I'll have to, I've got and the other thing that makes this easier is we've got such talented artists who produce these figures.
Oh, Mark's figures are so amazing. Yes.
Mark and Heidi Tyler. I mean, if somebody produces a great sculpted figure, all you got to do is fill in, it's color by numbers,
Oh, no, but come on now. I mean, yes, I mean, I absolutely agree with you. The basic sort of sculpt has to be there, but it takes someone who knows what they're doing to bring that sculpt to life. And that's you. Look at that.
So let's see what else we've got here. My images. Yeah, we'll go back to here because these are, let's see. So here's actually I'll show you the first step.
Yeah, please.
Which is, okay, so.
And again, this is totally applicable to slot cars, right?
Okay, so this is something I learned, which is we all know about priming, Priming, largely we did it so that the darn paint would stick to the figures because it doesn't stick as well to certain plastic or resin. Enamel is better at that, but acrylics, which is what I use, are pretty slippery.
Sorry to interrupt, Mark. Is that the Billy Bishop figure on the extreme left?
Yeah, that's what he looked like to start out with.
Wow.
No. He was in yellow resin to start out with. This is what he looks like after he's been primed with gray primer, and then you overshoot zenithal priming from the top down. You shoot a lighter color. I use white. And the purpose of that is to create the shadows. And here you go, the shadows and definition. So, you know, the reason he's headless is you notice that collar sticks up, and you don't want to be gluing that head on until after it's been painted, or you'll never get in there with a brush. Now here's Oswald Boelke. And here's the guy that I erroneously called generic British pilot, and he's actually a German pilot. Although, frankly, you just paint the uniform different, nobody knows. But
See,
so,
if I could interrupt for just one moment, any of those figures could be used for pre-war motorcycle or car racers.
absolutely, yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So this is the first. This is the step. The first two steps after you assemble them, put them together, and then, well, our first step, wash them, do the release, get the release off of them. They're almost all of these are made out of resin, and you really make sure there's no, get the release agent out of there. So give them a light little scrub with the toothbrush and the dishwashing liquid, let it dry, shoot it with primer, a darker primer. Now, Mark Tyler really likes to use a lighter primer, but I prefer gray or black. I like the shadowing. And then I lighten it up with a white overcoat. So that's the first step, okay? Then, apologies for screwing. Okay, then the next step is you basically start with the tough stuff first. And basically, although you were kind enough to notice the leather jacket and say you did a great job, basically, if the leather coat is good and you screw up the face, you've screwed up. I mean, the people are going to look at the face first. So the next step I do, and you can see, is I put down the base coats on the face and the hands, you know, and did that. And so we did that, and that's actually there. That's got some more, a little bit more of zenithal priming. Again, no base coating with actual shades here. This is airbrushed gray with an overlay of airbrush white. Now I used a brush to paint on the flesh coats. Okay. Let's see what else I put in here. I probably really jumped ahead. Okay, so then, you know, okay, so here, so I started working. Okay, so this looks pretty good. This is what happens when you basically say, now let's get the core color established on each major section. Right. So here I used a dark brown. Here I used a light brown. Here I used what would be a khaki, or a very pale khaki for the shirt and tie. Here I used a red brown. And so you lay that down. But again, it looks okay. But what's really going to differentiate it is putting in the shading on each level. Right. And okay, so you do that. I set that aside. And then, okay, so here we go. All right, now here's the make or break with 1/32. With 1/72, the eyes are so tidy, you just drop a little bit of wash in there. Yeah, just a little bit, just a little bit of wash. But with 1/32, these folks are sculpting real eyes. Now, what they don't sculpt is they don't put in the pupils, but they put in the whites of the eyes, the shape of the eye. So now you say, okay, I got to get in there, the iris and the pupil. And I used to have a Dickens at the time then, and then I discovered, you know what? I'll bet if I use a drill press. And I don't know, are you just, okay, so if I use these little drill presses here, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Over there. If I use these little drill presses, and okay, it's tiny and it's like surgery, but it's a rigid piece of metal that you just touch down, and when you feel you've got it in the right place, you see my little arrow here.
Yeah.
Basically put in a little indentation.
Well, the other thing that you've done that is absolutely brilliant is you've offset the center of the eyes, which is exceptionally natural.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes that's not as strategic as you think. It's just like, well, you bear in mind that the actual head is a fraction this size. So you don't want to get them too close. You don't want to get them cross-eyed.
Right.
Anything else basically works, or you don't want to get them splayed, but basically anything works. The trickiest thing is to get them the same depth. This isn't quite that, but this is the first step. So I've already painted in, I already put down some off-white in the eye socket, okay? Then what I did was I pressed in the pupil, and then because it's pressed in, you can dip down now the iris color and drop it right into the pupil, and it'll spread right around. It'll spread right around the pupil.
Right.
And yet you'll probably get a decent looking eye. Okay. And then you might have to do a little touch up, but I spend painting one of these figures. It's maybe 3 times as long to do the head and the face as it is to do the rest of it all together. And so we'll go back, and then just jumping ahead.
Whoa. So
Here we go.
What now? Do you do
Bear in
any?
mind that the picture I'm about to scroll down to is now bigger than my head, my real head. Okay. So, but of course, we're talking a 1/32 scale thing.
Now, I have to ask, what do you do for the interior of the mouth that makes it look so good?
This is flesh wash from Army Painter that you basically drop that down inside. He had the tiniest little mustache.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this is a mustache in chestnut brown.
So you painted that with a brush?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Let's get him back. There we go.
Wow.
That's still okay to give you that head on my screen, my laptop screen is 50% bigger than the entire figure is top to bottom.
Can I just ask a couple of questions about that? Because it looks so good. The second question I have to ask is about the interior of the ears, because that really makes a difference.
Yeah, I use for the dark spots, I either make my own glaze, using a glaze with a brown, some shade of brown or red, really watered down. And, you basically apply that in over the flesh into the inside of the ears, along the cheekbones, of the sides, here, along here. And then the highlights, of course, are the lighter. You use a lighter color to basically brighten up the forehead, the bridge of the nose, the chin.
And okay, I also have to ask about the hair, because I get in those days, as in the 60s, they used some sort of hair tonic or something to sort of keep the shape. And you've got a perfect balance there between sheen and matte. And how did you do that?
Billy Bishop had light brown hair, according to the records, because there aren't many color pictures of him. Yeah, he was a light brown hair. So basically, I started with a medium brown shade that I put in, let that dry. Then I dry brushed using a, the old standby. I'm sure you've got these too. The makeup brushes.
Yes. Oh, they're brilliant for dry brush. Well, that's what a makeup brush does, right?
I used a makeup brush to dry brush in golden, it wasn't gold color. It was a sort of a ochre yellowish tan across the hair. Let that dry. And then I took brown, another shade of brown, a dark shade of brown, and really, really watered it down so it would be a glaze. And then I applied that across the top so that it sunk down beneath the highlights and down into the recesses of the sculpt.
Right.
And that's how I got that particular hair, which actually, this picture was taken at night under artificial light. So actually, if you see Billy and, you get the idea. You can see it here. You know, if you see him in natural light, it's actually, everything is always a function of light. But this is a pretty good representation of what he looks like.
Oh, pretty good. It's awesome. Are you kidding?
Yeah. One of the reasons, when you're dealing with these figures, this is something as a kid I never paid attention to, is, you slap on the paint. You don't really worry too much where this line ends and this line starts. Right. But you're really working at it to get them to be, as they call it, crisp,
well, you've got, I mean, the hairline is just lovely.
Yeah. But it's also, it's aided by the fact that it's an incredibly good sculpt. The figure looks wonderful just with primer on it. It looks like a monotone, but you see, my goodness, they did a superb job. That's light years above what a monogram face. Oh, the type that we bought for our or an Aurora. I mean, it's just years ahead of that. So you've got that definition, and it does make it all a bit easier. Here.
Whoa.
Okay. So here's another one.
Well, look at that coat, and oh my gosh, the scarf looks so real.
Same process, just different shades. I'll tell you, John, I'm using a lot of browns and tans.
Oh yeah, but that's so wonderful.
It's very different from my days when I'm doing slot cars with vibrant greens and reds and blues,
Yeah, but you know what? If you did a pre-war Auto Union or ERA, that's almost the kind of driver you would have standing next to it.
And
wow.
See what else. Here's.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So there his face. Here, of course, what you've got there is you've got canopy glue stretched across the to make the goggle lenses.
Yep.
What else have we got? Here's a 1/48 figure, smaller. So you don't.
1/48, for example, for anyone who's into 1/43 scale slot cars, that's really close to the kind of figures you would have around the track.
Yeah. Here's 1/48.
Wow.
Blown up.
Yeah, but still, I mean, you look at that. It's, my goodness, it looks like a painting. It's beautiful.
So, you don't have the real challenge with 1/48 is because you've got so little distance to apply the brush. You're trying to get a nice thin layer, but you don't have a lot of room to move. 1/32, the bigger your figure, the more room you've got to sort of stretch across thin layers. Well, with 1/48, it's even, and 1/72, it's for me close to impossible. So who else we got here? Here we go.
What is that 48th as well, Mark?
This is 1/32 again. You can see I've made some progression. This guy I did about a month or two ago, and he's not as, he looks okay as a small figure, but you can see that when you blow him up, he doesn't quite have, at this level, he looks pretty good. Right. At this level, you say, oh man, he's got cartoon eyes,
So it just shows you how you have refined your method of painting.
Yeah. See,
That's
you
brilliant.
yeah, and that's where the face is everything, because I'm really proud of, the jacket, the pants, yeah, the helmet, but
Oh,
getting,
well, the wrap, sorry to interrupt, but the wrapping on his legs looks fantastic.
yeah. So that's the thing, because while I realize that at the display level, you're never going to see a figure that size that we're showing on the screen, because they're much smaller. On the shelf, they're going to look, really good. So here we go.
Oh, now what scale is that?
This is 1/32. That's Manfred von Richthofen.
Wow.
This guy, I'm going to say, I'm going to give him an A, not an A plus. Because at normal size, he looks really good. But again, I was using a larger drill press, and I made the pupils just a bit too big.
Right.
I really liked the definition I got on his helmet, and I think the shading on the face is very subtle. It doesn't look like a clown, it looks.
No, it's wonderfly done. Are you kidding?
So it's trying to get all of those things to come together. And okay, here's some. Now, here we go. I got an affinity for the Red Baron. Here's another Red Baron. This one's a seated figure. And so he's a little bit cross-eyed. We're always our own worst critic. Or he's looking right in at his tachometer on his or oil pressure gauge.
Right.
Yeah. So
My goodness, that dog, just brilliant. Brilliant.
Here we go. This guy.
Whoa.
Now he's meant to be leaning up against an airplane. The airplane built, because his pose otherwise is like, my goodness, is he doing ballet dancing? See, this one again, I was still working through the process of getting the eyes right. At this level, good. Blown up at a level you'll never see. Yeah, okay, it's okay. But
I honestly, I think you're being hypercritical of yourself. It looks great.
Well, that's the best way to be, I think, because that's, yeah. Now, here we go. Here's Manfred.
Oh, so that's the head on the body.
There we go. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
wow.
Now, there we go. And there,
oh my goodness.
Let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. All right. Here's where you see the difference. Okay, we better not give me I can't give myself an A, B, maybe. I mean, Jack, they all passed here, but the eyes tell. And this guy's eyes, not the overall, but the pupils are too big. These guys, I'm really proud of. So.
Well, okay, but let's be fair here. You did von Richthofen before you did Billy Bishop.
I did von Richthofen first, so you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my goodness, look at Bishop. Oh, those guys, they're amazing. Like if you did a Nuvolari, for crying out loud, because that's the kind of jacket he would be wearing if he was driving an auto union. Oh, beautiful.
There's what one looks like out of the box.
So whose head is that? I'm sorry.
That's Billy Bishop out of the box.
That's the way the resin head comes to you.
Yeah. Now you think, oh, it looks like, but the thing is you need the primer on it to really bring out the definition.
Yeah, you can't see a darn thing like that.
But it's there. But because it's shiny resin, you just don't see it until you start putting paint on it. So, and then here we go.
Whoa.
What I like best about Werner Voss and Manfred over here, Manfred's cross-eyed too, is I got the little blue Max. I got the Perle Mérite on. And, that's model making there, John.
Are you kidding? That's heart surgery.
There we go. So, again, this one I did at least 6 months ago. And so, this is brown without any shading. So it's like, well, you got the right color, but you need to. Now, this is brown, but with really amateurish shading. So it looks sort of like a hyena, And, I realize we're all but I mean, my God, in terms of the guys and gals who do this stuff for a living, this is stuff that they were doing within maybe a month or two of them starting out, because they take it and they can churn out one of these in an afternoon, and it'll, I'm doing it for my displays.
That's brilliant. Are you kidding?
So just to, hey, look, who's over here? We got Dr. Reginald Smith. Yeah, that's for you. That's you. That's yours, buddy.
It is, yeah. But
I think I must have grabbed a screenshot or something. It's beautiful, but it's, yeah. I grabbed a screenshot, and I'm embarrassed because there should be more in there. Let's see, what do we got here? Okay, now.
Okay, yeah, let's see. Well, here we go.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay. When I did not know how to paint, I mean, I was making them, but it was like I really needed to learn. So I call this Jackie Stewart my major fail, because you'll see why.
Oh, but hang on. See, you're much too hard on yourself. I mean, really, everything is a process, and that's the beginning of your process.
Okay, now Jackie Stewart a couple years later.
Right.
So,
there you go.
So now we've got some better shading. I got that tartan on the way I wanted.
Oh yeah.
We got the glass. This was the Micros whatever crystal clear.
Yep. Yeah, crystal clear. It works
This
great.
is probably the best set of lenses I ever put on. Yep. Not the best face. I got to do a Jackie Stewart again, because now I know.
Oh, well, see, and you took the words right out of my mouth, because can you imagine now what you could do with one of Mark Tyler's heads?
Yeah. This is an experimentation in primer. When you basically, Mark likes to use a light primer. Well, when you do the Brits, the pale, the John Surtees who never get any sun, but they didn't call Jack Brabham Black Jack for no reason. So basically, I tried out black primer, and yeah, when you start out with a dark undertone, you get a nice dark. This isn't, neither of these is finished, but
but you can see. But you know what? To your point about sculpting, Mark Tyler and his wife do such a great job.
Yeah,
it really shows how talented they are.
Yeah. So what we got in here? Okay. Yeah. This one.
And sorry, that's the car that you had at your last
That's the
Proxy,
car.
right?
Yeah. Mike Spence.
Oh wow! Look at that. You've got the proper peak.
Yeah, he had this for a couple races, and then he went to a white one. But he had this. My God, this is what we call the Grand Prix Chris Amon peak.
Exactly, that's who we got it from.
Yeah,
yes, that's why I'm so excited about it. Yo, my God, so awesome.
Married to his Dayglow orange. Yeah. So yeah, so just to let you know, and the world out there, I haven't given up on slot cars. Now, fortunately, we don't have. Fortunately for me, we don't have timestamps on this stuff, because this stuff was all done earlier. But they're in there. They're in there. So,
wow.
And yeah. And it all started from building these, thanks to Max, starting out with these Aurora you know, these Aurora, very simple kits built for grade school kids that I said, you know, I bet I can do a good job on them now that I'm an old man. And then, you know, you start to go, well, I got to start, you know, okay. So then you get the good planes, you know, and you go to,
Whoa. So you did all the rigging on that?
yeah,
That's the equivalent of like almost wiring an engine for a 1/32 scale slot car.
except it doesn't have to run, you know. It just has to look good. But yeah, because believe me, I've wired some engines before. Well, I know what you mean, wiring the engine of the engine, not the motor, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like if it's a Cosworth or a
Yeah.
Coventry Climax or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Jeez. Well, I'm telling you, you are exercising your modeling muscles, man.
well, retired, you know. So
Retired.
yeah, and if I don't have this, I'd have an obligation to really up my game in terms of the how. I mean, I would like to think that I pull my weight in terms of the cooking in the kitchen, but I know I fail in the house cleaning activity. So if I keep myself duly engaged in this, I can sort of take the attitude that, hey, I'll clean up my stuff. You know, I'll make sure the den and the workroom is clean. You know, but we did have. I got dispensation early on, which was I want to be a modern age guy and share and do this, but I don't do bathrooms. You know? I mean, I don't do bathrooms that would meet clinical standards. And since my beloved is an advanced practice registered nurse, clinical standards, you know, sort of apply. So
rigging 1/48 or 1/72 aircraft, no problem. But
yeah, I'll do that, and I'll get clinic. And you know, so we have a different approach to cooking too, but that's another story. So this is the who we got here. Oh yeah,
and these are 1/48 scale.
yeah, these are 140. Okay, so here we go.
Wow. Wait, well, hold on. Is that a sight on the gun there?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And it's a little cockeyed because, you know, those are those darn little photo etched parts, you know, that you got to get in there. But
yeah,
that's
but hang on a minute. If I saw that live in like if in my hand, it would look great. I mean,
yeah. That's an Eduard kit, the Czech company, and that's a Manfred von Richthofen figure.
Wow.
Figure did not come with the kit.
Oh, so that's a figure that you purchased, much like you would from Mark Tyler for a slot car. You purchased that.
I purchased an aftermarket figure. However, the aftermarket figure was a bareheaded von Richthofen with his blonde hair, and I needed to and so I had to carve out another helmet, you know, and then I had to.
Wait a minute, you put the helmet on his head then?
Yeah, I had to fit a helmet onto his head, you know, so he's a combination of parts. Yeah.
So how long before you start working for Mark Tyler then?
Oh, Mark's far too wise. He's extraordinarily kind and patient, and he's an incredible mentor. But you go, no, you know, Huber's a stick of dynamite.
It looks brilliant. But again, these are all skills that are so applicable to either 1/43 or 1/32 scale slot cars. I mean, let's face it, drivers were using leather helmets until the 1950s.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So here's a 1/48 scale figure. you know,
Oh, wow.
before I put the top wing on the SE5. It's hard to get a great, and so now,
Well, that's like putting a driver in a car, for crying out loud.
partially painted guy.
Right.
I'm kind of embarrassed to blow some of these up because
Why? Why? They're brilliant.
yeah, you're very kind, but
No. Listen, I absolutely, I used to build 1/48 scale aircraft, and it's not, I mean, that's why I built 1/32 scale slot cars, because 1/48 scale is a real challenge.
here we go. Okay.
That's 1/48 scale.
Yeah, now I realize you don't use this currency up there.
No, but that's an American 10
Dime.
cent piece. Yeah.
10-cent piece. So,
Whoa.
yeah, so
Son of a fish stick. That's amazing.
now just as over here,
Yeah.
just mentioned, these two guys are from the late 50s, early 60s, styrene within the original Aurora kits
So those are the pilots you get in the kits, right?
in the kits. And I wanted to see if I could. So there they are.
Wow. Oh my God.
I will say this. I got some interesting expressions on their faces. No matter what you do, even with, they don't have the definition of the sculpting.
Yeah.
The paint, it's going to be harder to get, I don't know what possessed me. I decided to give a stab at eyebrows, and at 1/48, you probably should forget that.
No, but you know what it looks like to me? It looks like the sort of detritus that would come off an aero engine from a World War I aircraft.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I like to think that this guy is going, oh my God, there are 3 Sopwith Camels on the clock. And this guy is going, I don't think I'm coming back from this mission. They do have character.
Yeah, no, they have a real expression. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, vintage Aurora pilots. Yeah.
But you know what? It's no different than the vintage drivers that we got with the slot cars, like from the Revell Happy Face guy to the monogram drivers that looked like, Jim Clark in 1/32 scale or 1/24th, or not Jim Clark, sorry, Jim Hall. I beg your pardon. They had expressions, and no, you brought those to life. It's brilliant.
Now, here was my first experiment with forced perspective.
Right.
So that's a 1/48 Sopwith triplane, Edward.
Yeah.
And one of my bills that I'm prouder of. And here we've got a 1/32 scale pilot in the foreground. And I think this one came out pretty well.
That's really good, because you got the shadow going the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow. My goodness. I still can't get over the rigging on that airplane.
Yeah, I had to learn a few things in order to do that stuff. One is do not do it when the model instructions say to do it, which is at the end.
Right.
You'll never get it in. You've got to do a lot of it before you put the top wing on. Now with with a triplane, you don't just have a top wing, you got a middle wing. So you've got to figure out your sequencing. The other thing I used was this product called Easy Line, which is a stretch line.
Right.
Is a slippery little bugger, but in many ways it's more forgiving because it creates its own tension rather than stretching it to pretty much the exact length you need. So, but it's an interesting thing because, for example, this piece of rigging actually goes through the middle wing and then comes down here.
Hold on, that actually goes through the wing?
Yeah, that's where it goes through a hole in the middle wing and comes through. This piece comes out at the front of the wing and attaches, you know, so, but,
So building a 1970s Grand Prix car should be just a piece of cake for you now.
if the car didn't have to move, yeah, absolutely. Nope, yeah, but the darn thing's actually got to move, and I'm building them against guys who know how to make them move really quickly. So I don't know if we'll use the word piece of cake. Building one that's competitive is more than a piece of cake. Building one that looks good, okay, I can do that. Sort of, yeah.
Well, just have Jochen Rindt in a leather coat and you've won the concours.
Yeah. That's it. That's what it's all about. Yeah. All right. Let's go back to, how do I get us back to us?
Oh, I just stop sharing.
Yeah, but I don't know where that is.
Oh, I can do that. I can do that for you.
There we go.
There,
Okay.
there. Well done. Well
All
done.
right.
Cool. Oh my good, Mark, your work is amazing. And you know, once you get your track up and you start doing figures for scenery, they'll look just like real folks.
Yeah. Well, now just to let the faithful, your faithful know. And, you know, some of my friends are talking about that I've gone to the dark side. I think that if you're a fan of vintage racing, you can't call your passion for military aircraft the dark side. It's history. It's all history.
Yeah.
You know, so just to know, so I've got a few things here now that I'm going to try to apply my talent to.
Okay.
We talked about our mutual friend, Mark Tyler.
Hmm.
So,
Whoa.
or body, beautiful resin body.
Hang on, let me just get you on your own here. Oh, that's beautiful, Mark. Wow. Now, is that a McLaren?
It's Lola. It's
Lola, I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry.
62 Lola Mark IV, had a Coventry Climax V8 in it, driven by John Surtees and God, who was the other driver? It's escaping me. I should know the other guy, but the two-driver team, the Bowmaker team, and also then it became the next year it was driven by a variety because Surtees went over in '63 to Ferrari, and Chris Amon drove one of these in '63. So that's the body, and it's, you know.
And is that your body?
Mark Tyler's body. It's
Mark. Oh, so Mark did the.
Oh yeah, Mark Tyler. Yeah, this is a project. Okay, but importantly, because with Mark Tyler's stuff, you always get the goodies.
Oh, nice.
Okay, you know, just the coolest. This, you know, see, he started out doing the figures, and then dare I open this up? Because if anything flies out of here, it's going to bounce a mile.
Oh, just be careful now. Take your time. You know, it's the internet. We have all day.
Okay. This is for my McLaren. What have I got? A McLaren M5.
Yeah.
With the BRM V12.
Yeah, those are the trumpets. Yes, and the oh, that's beautiful.
Okay, and we got some twin exhaust pipes. This is for the Lola.
Yeah.
And here we've got the inject. Oh, put it over here.
So Mark has just created these recently?
Yeah. No, I think he did these about a year ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe 2 years ago. These are the injection trumpets for the
Let's see. I can't see you.
for the Coventry. Actually,
a little higher. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. A little higher towards your face. Beautiful. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Wow.
And of course, the
Inserts.
wheel.
Yes.
And oh, Got to have a gearbox.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah. So now, of course, some of my friends would say, yeah, it's all well, but you got to build it, Mark. But I've got the pieces. I've done them before. So, when it goes together and maybe wins a concours, 50% of my earnings, which are zero, will go to Mark Tyler for having designed it. So, last part of it all, just the coolest stuff he does. Okay. So here you get see the instrument cluster?
Yeah.
The steering wheel there. And the mirrors. Got that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. And okay. So that's for the 1.5 liter. Except I have to think about it. The M5, the V12, the BRM V12 is a 3 liter. Okay.
Right.
So that goes back in here. So far, I haven't lost anything.
Yeah, that was the Gurney Westlake engine, right?
No, Gurney Westlake. The Westlake was its own engine. It was a V12, but it was made by Henry Westlake, small engineering firm. This was a BRM engine.
Oh, it was the BRM. Okay, I'm
And
sorry.
actually, McLaren raced the BRM V12 before BRM did. BRM was trying to make that H16 work. Not didn't work very well. It was
that was such a lump.
Yeah. Now, okay. So now, 2022. It's coming up soon, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's the next proxy. Is that?
Yeah, 2022 Grand Prix de Montana, which isn't taking place in Montana. It's taking place in England.
Now, are you not having a round in Montana at all this year?
It's even in normal times, it would be tricky to be, I know they do that international proxy thing that Alexis in Greece has been sending cars around the world for years, but that's the administration on that scares the dickens out of me. So it's either we do one in Europe, we do one in the States. We've done 3 years in a row in the States. So the next one, the upcoming one's going to be in the UK. Now, I handed it over administration to David Mitchum. And David Mitchum, who is an amazing model builder, designer in his own right, and just incredible talent. I said, David, here's the only thing. We keep it to open wheel cars, and they have to be pre-1980, something before the 1980s. And I said, now, if you agree to, and then we keep the name. And then we can use the forum site, okay? But I said, in return for that, I give you the most important promise. I will not interfere with the administration, because the last thing you need in a proxy race are two chiefs, unless they're joined at the hip, Siamese twins or something. No. You got to have one person, a benevolent dictator. So David decided that the formula would be 3 liter F1 cars, 1968, 69, and 70. So that, of course, would be the years that Graham Hill won his second world championship. Jackie Stewart won his first with Matra.
Matra, yeah.
And in 70, Jochen Rindt won posthumously.
Right.
So I got 2 cars that will be going. And because I've had this little diversion, this little sidetracking into World War I biplanes and triplanes.
Well, I would call that perhaps the modeling mistress.
Okay. Yeah, it's all for a good cause, right?
What look at how you've progressed your figure skills. Phenomenal. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
but that's yeah.
Now, if only it would make my cars go more quickly around the track. That perfect. But we'll see. But so one of my entries, one of them is the McLaren M5A, which was the car that preceded the M7. Now the M5A was powered by a BRM V12. I showed you the V12. Mark made the wonderful engine cover, engine molding. And that car is sitting on my workbench in Helena, Montana. As usual, it's one of those that's about 80% done, but it was 80% done 7 months ago. Okay, now the one that's got a lot of work to do is a BRM P138.
Oh, wow.
Also powered by the BRM V12.
Right.
And this beautiful, is it in focus? Sort
Yeah,
of.
no, it's good. It's good. Yeah, yeah.
This beautiful resin body was sculpted by David Mitchum, my friend in England, and it was cast by John Warren out of New Zealand. So it's a true intercontinental trans-hemisphere production, designed and sculpted by David Mitchum, cast by John Warren, and it's now in Mark Huber's hands here in the United States, just to throw on some paint and some wheels and, you know, and it's running with the famed Polycar engine pod.
Oh, nice.
You've seen those. They've got an F50 motor and they've got that offset gearing arrangement
Yeah.
that allows for a very, very subdued and almost close to realistic gearbox. And you know, all it needs is some suspension detailing, a front, you know, front suspension.
And a wonderfully detailed driver. Let's not forget that.
You know what? The driver's a cinch. And if worst comes to worst, I'm going to put one of those World War I airplane pilots in it. What do you think about Billy Bishop? You know, Billy Bishop, actually, he passed away in the 50s. He was only like 62 years old when he died. But Billy Bishop comes back to life. He's now a 75-year-old man. He hasn't aged a bit since his 20s. We got him pilot. Now I'll have to do surgery on him. I'll have to convert him from, you know, I'll have to convert, speaking of Billy, I'll have to.
Oh, wait, oh, I got to pin you for that. Hold on. That looks, that is beautiful. Look at that.
There's Billy. But Billy is meant to be standing in a diary, you know, outside the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I showed pictures of these in my gallery. So there's Billy. This guy I'm calling James McCudden because I think the face, look at Britain's #3 ace, I think, of the war.
Look at that. Oh, that's beautiful. Mark, oh, that's beautiful.
So.
Oh, what fantastic work.
So we got it back to slot cars.
But you know what? But here's the thing. Modeling is modeling. And
yeah.
I have learned so much from military modelers as far as how to detail figures and make them come to life. And you've done an amazing job on your figures. I can't imagine how good those cars will look.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that because I've learned so much from military modelers, from the fantasy war gamers. I've learned things about building the slot cars, not of course, but you know, the detailing.
Yeah.
For people who do static models. And I think the static modeling has helped me with my patience. I sure hope that my soldering skills having atrophied will come back quickly. I have to admit, I always feel a little bit of hesitation when I fire up that soldering iron, you know, and of course, the smaller the connection, the more I get, what do you want to call it? The nips, what the yips, the yips. You're standing over the ball on the green, and you get the yips. I'm going, okay, just touch it. You know, this is plain old chemistry, you know, it'll work. No, you know, but I figured out how not to have that happen with a paintbrush. However, with a paintbrush, the worst thing that happens is, oh, geez, with acrylic, you can fix that in a second.
Right.
Dab it with some water and so, which is a great reason to use acrylics. The only downside to acrylics, as you know, is the durability.
Right.
They just, I really need to be probably doing my acrylic drivers in closed cockpits, not open wheel, because, where they'd be protected, because believe me, the cars are lacquered, and, much strong, have to be a much tougher, as you know, a much tougher finish. But yeah.
Oh,
So
well, your figures look fantastic. I can't imagine how good your proxy car is going to look with an amazing driver in it.
You saw the crew in the last, this past spring. So
Right.
it's not like I set myself up for success here. I mean,
But for example, because it's 69 to 70, right? Is that right?
68 to 70. 60.
Okay, so you can still choose a driver with an open face.
Oh yeah, that was yeah. And I've got Denny Home
right
in the one car, and John Surtees. John Surtees had moved. John Surtees, 1969. He'd moved over. He'd left Honda, and he moved. He was over to BRL.
Right.
The British Grand Prix. So, and of course, these are Mark Tyler figures. I suppose it's presumptuous or boastful as all get out, and I'm thinking of people who take credit for other people's success. Won't name names. There are some people who do that, and then I realized, I've been really guilty of saying, Mark Tyler's got more talent in his right pinky than I've got in my whole body, but I did give him the inspiration for some of these.
Well, nothing. Well, to your point, nothing happens in isolation.
Yeah.
Life is a team sport.
I got in touch with him years ago and said, man, your Tazio Nuvolari is amazing. And there aren't really good vintage drivers out there.
Right. Yeah.
There are some good figures.
Yeah.
And there are some great vintage drivers in the big, for the staff. Look, you did Tazio Nuvolari. They said, okay, well, who do you want me to do? I said, that's easy, Graham Hill. I said, so you got to do a rogues gallery of world champions. Right. You do it from the era when they did not have full helmets. Right. So in short order, over the course, he did Graham Hill, and I said, Jim Clark, Dan Gurney. He did
Denny Home. Oh my God.
He did Denny. Yeah, Denny Home was like, you got to do Denny Home because I'm making a McLaren.
Well, Denny Home, Jackie Stewart. Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I've been pestering him to do some more of the 50s. He did Fangio, but I said, Alberto Ascari would be great. Very, very interesting face. Mike
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne would be great. Mike Hawthorne is a display character in that green velvet jacket with the bow tie.
And never mind. And Peter Collins, handsome Peter Collins. And he does a beautiful Sterling Moss. Yes. Yeah.
So I said, you round up, because those are the ones, you do that lineup. And so he and Heidi put together just this amazing lineup of drivers. And it was golly, it must be 6, 7, 8. It's a long time ago.
Well, and don't forget, as of recently, he's done Jules Villeneuve.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Art and Senna. you know.
Ayrton
And
Senna,
again,
yeah.
yeah, those more, you know, you really do have to have more of them as display, because once they've got the helmet on, okay, yeah, that does look like his eyes through there, you know.
But you know what? The thing is that even in that era, because the helmets were, you know, there were helmet wars as far as the marketing was concerned. So you could see more of the driver and their eyes. But the great thing about drivers like Senna and Villeneuve, there are lots of pictures of them around their cars that,
Yeah.
you know, really you can display a slot car with that figure around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
And
So,
you know what? That's the other thing that you are so, and again, I can't emphasize this enough. I want to thank you because you emphasize the aspect of model car racing. These are cars that are able to be displayed on a shelf, put on a track, and used. And to me, that's the most appealing aspect of this wonderful hobby, because I love building models, but then you put them on a shelf and you go, okay, you can use the darn things.
yeah,
It's brilliant.
that I totally agree, because you get to use them and play with them. And I think one of the reasons the aircraft collection can get out of control is, yes, once you built it, it does go on the shelf. And, you know, we spent a nice time tonight leafing through the pictures, but heck, you know, the fun of taking that car off the shelf and putting it on the track and having, you know, some entertainment, you know.
And the other thing too is, and I can tell you from driving real formula cars, there's a real correlation between driving a slot car and driving a real formula car. Because I know that I was told in racing school that the steering wheel is there for mistakes. You steer the car with the brake and the accelerator. And that's what you're doing when you're racing a slot car. You know, that's the truth. And I have the bent wings to prove it.
Well, if that correlation holds true, I'd probably have a lot more traffic offenses than
Well, you just have to be a little more
aggressive.
enthusiastic with your new Miata.
Yeah, yeah. It's good that, you know, as a fellow, well, yeah, we could turn off the recording now and Rap's lyrical about our Miatas. People, yeah. Was there ever a more fun car? You know, and
people who know, it's really funny
that,
when you talk to folks who really know driving, they will say, yeah, well, what does Miata stand for? Miata is the answer.
Yeah. One thing Chris and I took that car from Helena, Montana out to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania and back, 4,500 miles. Wow. In 2.5 weeks, and showed that, you know, I sort of felt we were doing the Albert Finney, Audrey Hepburn 2 on the road without the fighting, you know. And because, you know, and it was just a fabulous trip. Proved, because you know what, you know, places have got laundry services, and we were staying with friends that we could, yeah, what, 2 changes of clothes, that's it, small.
Yep.
The only downside of that trip was that, you know, every evening when I get out of the car, you know, my face was a little bit tight because I've been smiling for 8 hours, you know. Because you do, you have this grin on, you know.
Yeah.
You smile when you're driving.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the most incredible shifter, standard transmission I've ever been in. I mean, I know there's a lot of.
It's I can tell you, it's the closest to
it's
the closest to a formula car you can get on the street, because it's less than 2 inches from gear to gear. And when the first formula car I drove, which was a Reynard with a 4-speed, what the hell was it? Geez, I guess it was a Hewland gearbox, and it's just snick, 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 and that's
snick, snick, snick. I love it. Snick, snick, snick.
That's exactly the way it is. Yeah, and that's the way a race car is.
And of course, I don't know about Canada. They're probably a little more brawny up there. A lot, maybe you'd say a lot more, but you know, in America, in the United States, in the States, a standard transmission is the best anti-theft device you can have. Because most of them, unless they're going to haul that damn thing away, most of them can't drive off it. They can hotwire it, but they're like, okay, now let's see if you can actually get this thing out of the garage or out of the street. They don't know how.
Well, Mark, all I can say is the work on your figures it's phenomenal. I can't wait to see those cars done for the next Proxy race. Thank you so much for spending so much time with me here.
Yeah,
I really
thank you,
appreciate it.
John.
And really, I'm going to put a link to your channel because it really needs more attention. You're doing some great work.
Yeah,
And
well, okay, now in the event that folks who watch this at some point come over and go, let's put a little disclaimer on this, which is like, why the hell did John recommend that? I mean this truly. The reason, the impetus for me creating a YouTube channel was twofold. It was, number one, I felt, it would be a good place to document and what I'm doing.
for sure.
Honestly, I'm talking to myself. I mean, that's how I talk. I don't.
But there's so many people who can benefit from what you've done. I mean, my goodness, the work that you're doing, it's great to share.
Yeah. The other impetus was I guess it's getting time for an upgrade on my phone, but they only have so much space, and it's like, hey, YouTube seems to have unlimited capacity videos, and it takes a few minutes to. I do a thing, shoot it off there. I clear it out of my phone.
Right.
So Max likes to talk about the lowest production values on YouTube, which is bullshit, because Max knows how to edit a video. He knows how to put on music. He knows how to put in captions. I'm not going to learn that crap. I sit down, I hold my camera up, I talk about what I've done during the day.
Yep.
I do think about it a little bit before I, do I want to talk about what I did?
Yeah, but that's Mark. That's why I think it's great. That's what makes it real.
Okay. Well, thank you.
No, honestly, reality TV was never reality TV. What you're doing is real and it's honest, and I think everyone should look at it. Really, seriously.
Well, then I'll have to abandon it because I'm one of those odd characters who's not on Facebook.
Oh, same here. Yeah, I'm not.
I'm not on Facebook.
I'm not on Facebook either. No.
Now, but I am a YouTube junkie because I think that if you're into whatever hobby or hobbies you have, what better place?
I couldn't agree with you more. There has never been a revolution like YouTube since the Gideon Press. I absolutely agree. No, seriously.
Yeah, I believe you. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? It doesn't, like, the number of subscribers doesn't matter. It's like the people who are watching because they care, and that's what's important. And what you're doing is what's important.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
and you do, for us, actually, you and I reconnected through YouTube, because years before I was buying some of your product because I had met you through the forums, but you meet, they say you meet the nicest, you meet the coolest people, Frank Peter, in the Nether.
And the work that he does, and the generosity of spirit. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And because I'm like humbled. It's like, I think I'm a pretty good historian. And then I look, this guy could be a professional historian.
Well, not only that, but he's living in history.
Yeah, he's living the history.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's just really nice. And it's just so, I've learned a lot from people who have other hobbies, but they're passionate about them. And you look at the synergies.
Yeah.
And so I'm just a proponent. You want to be a happier person. You know, there's many, you know, my only self-help rule would be have a hobby. I don't care if it's tying flies for fly fishing or gardening or cooking or building model racing cars.
That's right.
Have a hobby and embrace it. It's just so wonderful, you know. And
not only is it wonderful, it's so connective.
yeah,
right? It's like a sinew. It's beautiful. It transcends everything. Regardless of what we may think divides us, it's what binds us.
I agree. I think that's one of the strengths of the places I really love to visit, you know, too. And
I think in times like this, it's so important to emphasize what binds us.
Yeah, what brings us together.
That's right.
The humanity of it, what we love, what we care about, the fact that we can be supportive.
And to emphasize that point, it is why when you do figures, it is what personifies, regardless of the genre of modeling. Personification is the most important aspect. And with that, I'm going to end our conversation because you have the ultimate, well, you still have some ways to go, as we all do, but you have progressed your expression of personification for all of your hobbies, whether they are World War I aircraft or Formula One cars and their drivers. And that is really what makes these things so relatable to us all. And I thank you so much for all the work that you've done.
Well, John, that means a lot coming from you, because I have and will say the same thing about you. I'm inspired by what you do. When the bell goes on and I see, oh, it's a Fast Sports, like what's he up to? The enthusiasm, the things I've learned, but it goes way beyond the stuff I've learned. It's the joy of the whole process. And it's like, yeah, my day was a good day. You know, I think we know a bunch of folks out there, many of them mutual friends of ours, who it's like, I just look so forward to what they do. And it's like a nice Kickstarter whenever it comes in, whether it's the middle of the night or the next day. So I'm glad the water heater has been successfully taken care of, and that the track is going back. And I look forward to more projects and more hidden treasures out of the cabinet. And we'll have a lot more fun in the years to come.
Well, I thank you so much, and I'm getting a little emotional, and I'm so proud and privileged to be able to call you my friend. Bless you.
Well, okay. You better edit this stuff out.
No, thank you. I'm serious.
Yeah,
well, that means so much.
Well, you take care. Thanks, John, because holy cow, it's late there, buddy.
Oh, no, I thank you.
And in the spirit of it, you know, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year. All the best to you, your lovely spouse, your daughter. And we will certainly chat again.
Yeah.
And look forward to a lot more projects and a lot more good times in 2022.
Mark, thank you, my friend. You brought so much joy to me.
All right. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe.